And my favorite album from David Bowie, I believe I've mentioned this before, but here it is. Station to Station. Released in 1976 on RCA Records. My God, I remember the first day I actually heard this album. It was around the time I took really a break from hip hop. Um, Believe it or not, I this was a lot of people think that no, I'm gonna get into the acting. Very very influential album. The song playing in the background is called Golden Years. I'm getting to that song later on, but producers include David Bowie and Harry Maslin. A little trivia about Harry Maslin. He worked with people like Dionne Warwick, Barry Manilow, Air Supply, and so he started working with them around the time he was recording the Young Americans album. But I'm getting way ahead of myself. I'm talking about between Ziggy Stardust and this album. So he did the whole Ziggy Stardust tour, which was a very big tour around the time, very groundbreaking tour. And also that same year, he did backing vocals for Lou Reed's 1972 album Transformer, and he produced that album with Mick Ronson. Then fast forward to 1973, he started working with Iggy Pop and the Stooges, and this would begin like their long friendship together because they were working on the Raw Power album, and the Raw Power album, that's like one of the best punk albums of all time. A lot of people said that's the Stooges' best album. My opinion, I say Funhouse was my favorite album, but that album definitely a classic. But it was actually criticized too because of the way the album was mixed, so they had to put out like another version of the album. I'm gonna go more on the story once I review the album one day. I don't know when I'll review it one day, but also that year, 1973, he dropped his next album, Aladdin Sane. Now, I do have Aladdin Sane, and I would review it, but I'm gonna hold on to my review for right now because I'm actually gonna re-listen to the album a bit more because I had not really heard the album since like a couple years ago, and I haven't really reviewed it. I mean, we listened to like we listened to Hunky, Ziggy, Station Station, Berlin Trilogy, so things of that nature. So the review is coming, so stay tuned. And that album was about like Ziggy Star. Oh well, originally it was supposed to be. I mean, David Bowie himself called his album um basically the American version of the Ziggy Stardust album, where he kind of describes it as Ziggy Goes to America. So, and it was also that same year, 1973, when I believe 1972, 1974, he kind of retired the Ziggy Stardust character because he wanted to do something new. And so, 1974, 1973, he broke up the Spiders from Mars, and so 1974 he moved to the U.S. and he dropped the album Diamond Dogs. Now Diamond Dogs, that album it was an okay album. I'm not really the biggest fan. It was kind of like it did have some dope tracks on it. I admit it did have dope tracks, and a lot of die-hard Bowie fans love that album. Of course, I don't have that album in my collection. If I do get it, if I see it in the store, I'll get it. Um, Diamond Dogs. That was kind of his goodbye. That album I kind of consider the album his goodbye to the Ziggy started with the glam rock era. So it was also around this time he started he started using cocaine a lot, and so he was getting into like problems, things of that nature, and the cocaine use would have a contribution in the making of this album, which I will get into later. And so that same year, 1974, he dropped the David Bowie live album, David Live, and it was that album when he kind of flirted with soul music a little bit, and it was kind of surprising around his mid 70s because um he was just like hard rock, had his own style, and so he just started having love for soul once he was in Philadelphia. Because you gotta remember, like 1974, 75, Philadelphia soul was on the rise. Like you had the OJs, you had the Delphonics was going in at that time, although they were kind of waning a little bit. You had the Spinners, although they're originally from Detroit. I believe Felipe was from Philadelphia, so he kind of gave them that Philadelphia vibe to them. If that makes sense. And of course, you can't mention Philadelphia Soul without talking about Hell Melvin and the Blue Notes, amazing soul group and things of that nature. That's Teddy Pendergrass's old group. And so that's fast forward to 1975. He dropped Young Americans. Now this album, this believe it or not, I'm gonna get a lot surprised, but this is actually the first David Bowie album I actually listened to. Believe it or not, the first Bowie album I listened to. And this song was known for his first US #1 hit called Fame, which was actually co-written by John Lennon too. And so if you hear that song, you hear that song, all my Jay-Z heads should know about that song. That's all I'm gonna say. I thought Young Americans was a very good album. It did have some ant tracks, but overall it was still a good album, and I kind of compare that album. It kind of reminds me of Prince's Around the World in a Day because he kind of went like the 180. People were expecting a Purple Rain 2, but he did like a 180 and made that album, which is the sound was very contrast to um, Purple Rain, as how can I put it? Young America was contrast to like his previous work like Diamond Dogs, Ziggy Stardust, things of that nature. And so, oh, I forgot to mention, and he re-released the single like Space Oddity in 1972, and I believe that got him more chart success. Okay, and it was also fast forward to 1976. He started. Wait, actually, I forgot to mention. Young Americans album was notable for getting him a spot on Soul Train, where he performed Fame and Golden Years. Golden Years was released as a single the year prior to this album. And also around that time, people can call the album Plastic Soul, basically, because he's like this white rocker doing soul music and things of that nature. But if you really think about it, a lot of British, a lot of British rock artists like the Rolling Stones, the Beatles, they were influenced by a lot of soul music. Like the Rolling Stones would cover songs from like Bobby Womack to Temptation, while the Beatles were covering songs from like even like early in their career, like the boy band Beatles, as I should say. They would cover like a lot of Motown songs, and they were friends with Mary Wells too. They were close friends with Mary Wells. Um, yeah. So that's why like, a lot of I kind of say that it's kind of like people were getting mad because he was doing soul music, but at the same time, at the same time, um, they get mad at this album. It's kind of rethink what you're saying though. Anyway, 1976. That's when he did. he introduced his new character, a thin white duke. And it was also yeah, so it was also that same year his drug addiction got way out of hand. But I'm not really going to overshadow it overshadow drugs with this album, for obvious reasons. And so he doesn't really remember making this album. And the sound was very different, like very, very, very different from his other work. It was more funky. It was soulful at times. He was doing like a lot of art rock. And like this is very like he has his hair slicked back. He was starting wearing like more fancy clothes. Calls himself the Thin White Duke, my favorite character from Bowie. I mean, very, very amazing, amazing, amazing album. And I kind of, not a lot of people say this is their favorite Bowie album because this album came right before he started the Berlin trilogy, which consists of albums Low, Heroes, and Lodger. And people say the Berlin trilogy was like his best, 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 his best work. Like, even though I love the Berlin trilogy, I feel like those albums like those, they're kind of overrated in his discography. That's not saying they're bad albums, because they're some of the best works in rock music, period. But people, this was like a very superior album, and my favorite album because it was a very different sound, and he did things like the production was just ahead of its time. Like it kind of sounds like something you would hear like in how can I put it? Like in it kind of like in the 80s, 90s rock era. So that's the way I see it. That's how dope the production is. Okay, so I talked way too much about this, so I'm gonna try to get into the singles. Singles albums known for are Golden Years, Station to Station, TVC 15, and Stay. And David Bowie and Harry Maslin produced this album. Yeah, so very, very amazing album. Um, okay, let me get started with some of the songs. First song is called Station to Station. This is like the longest song off this album. Oh, I forgot to say the personnel. I forgot to mention that. Okay, personnel include David Bowie on vocals, guitar, tenor, and alto saxophone, Moog synthesizer, and mellotron. Carlos Alomar guitar, Roy Benton piano, Dennis Davis drums, George Murray bass guitar, Warren Peach backing vocals, and Earl Slick on regular guitar too. Okay. Now I forgot to say, let me take you inside the booklet. Right. This is Bowie, Thin White Dude. Always his character always had like a little cigarette in his mouth. Um yeah, classic pictures. And this way of saying the production and all that. Okay, 6 songs. I know it's very, very, very short. And alright, here it goes. Okay, first song off his album is called Station to Station. This is like a 10-minute like funky funk rock thing. Alright, Station to Station. Possibly my favorite song off this album, and I think I mentioned this is actually my favorite Bowie song of all time. There's a lot going on with this song. First of all, this is like one of the longest tracks David Bowie has ever done. It consists of 10 minutes, 14 seconds, and this is like a fine introduction to like the Thin Right Duke. And so I love like the being like the dun 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 dun. I mean, very amazing. Like I love the build up to that, and then once like the drums kicking like boom, I mean, god damn, that's like one of my favorite rock songs. That's like not only like one of his best songs, possibly one of like the best songs ever written. Period. And so the Thin Right Duke is like this cold character. Like he just doesn't take shit from nobody, basically. And so that's basically what you need to know about the Thin Right Duke. Very just an introduction to his charismatic persona and what makes him him. But he also has like this introspective sound to him, like very it's like a different side to his persona. Like he thinks about a lot of shit. So yeah, Thin Right Duke. I mean Station Station is a song. Next song off this album is called Golden Years. I played that in the beginning. This song is very interesting because originally he wanted Elvis to record a song. Yes, the same Elvis Presley. So, but I think Elvis he declined. No, yeah, he declined to make the song, write the song, and stuff like that. So Bowie he did it himself. Very dope song. He performed this on Soul Train. OVA okay performer. You can tell like his mind was fucked up around that time. Um, for a little trivia about that performance, about the song in general. Okay, first of all, originally this album was supposed to be called Golden Years, but he changed it to Station because I think he was influenced by the stations at the cross. Also, um, what was I about to say? Okay, Station. I mean, there. The Soul Train performance. Wait, what was I saying? Okay. Yeah, like yeah, I mentioned that. Okay, and so yeah, he originally gonna call this Station to Station. Golden Years. He originally gonna call that. All right, dope song. Next song is called Word on a Wing. Okay, Word on a Wing. Very soulful song, personal. He, according to this interview on VH1 Storytellers, he wrote this song as like a prayer to get him through like his drug addiction, which he would ultimately kick by the time he did the Berlin trilogy. Thank God. Um, so yeah, very dope song. Next song of his album, TVC 15, classic song right there, classic. Okay, so this is a very, very funny song. This was basically, you can tell by like the melody, the lyrics, subject matter, very cocaine-ish influence. So him and Iggy Pop, they were watching TV, just chilling, watching TV, and so Iggy was had hallucination that the television set swallowed his girlfriend. I think him and David try to go in to rescue him. Like, I'm dead ass. I'm dead ass. That is like the perfect song right there. Very playful. I love the melody to that song. Um, some lyrics would I love some of the lyrics like one of these nights I may just jump down that rainbow way, be with my baby then. We'll spend some time together so hologramic on my TVC 15. What else? What else? Okay. I brought my baby home. She sat around for alone. She saw my TVC 15, baby's gone. She just crawled in, oh my, she crawled in right in my soul, hologramic. Oh, my TVC 15. I mean, I know sometimes it's kind of simple, but it really tells a story. And it gets a plus because Bowie's always very good at telling certain stories. Most evident, the whole Ziggy Stardust album. Okay. Next song is called Stay. Stay. Um, that's some kind of it's an okay song. It kind of has like a I would not say disco. It's like a very funky feel. It has it kind of reminds me of like the funky rhythmentation reminds me of like groups like let me think what funk like a mixture of like the Ohio players to like Ohio players kind of like a mixture of the whole Ohio players mixed in with hmm, damn. Yeah, I can't really think of another fun, but it has like an Ohio players feel to it, in my opinion. But yeah, last song off this album, Wild, is The Wind. Okay, Wild as the Wind. Believe it or not, that's actually a cover song. And the song was originally recorded for this 1957 movie called Wild as the Wind. And the original cover, written by Dimitri Tiomkin, Dan Washington, but it was actually first covered by Johnny Mathis for that movie, which he was actually nominated for an Academy Award for that. So, the Nina Simone, she did a cover of that. That's like this is probably one of the famous covers of that. And from what I heard, Bowie was influenced by Nina Simone. After he met her, he did his own cover of that song. So that's basically the history of making that song. And that's all the time. My personal opinion, very, very great album, classic album. I mean, wow, David Bowie at the 70s. This is an album that is mm, it sounds like it could have really been made today in a way. And this is very it's probably like the last time he would really flirt with like a lot of like funk and soul. Although he kind of toned it down a little bit with this album by sort of adding like a mixture of his signature style with the funks and soul. But this album is still very much still a very funky song, very funky album, and it's a classic album. A lot of people like do not mention this album. They always talk about Ziggy Stardust, Hunky Dory, Low. Hell, they even talk about Let's Dance more than this album, in my opinion. Although I'm gonna save my thoughts on Let's Dance until I'm gonna save my thoughts on Let's Dance until like, the time is right. So, other than that, classic. If you don't have this album, you need to get this in your collection. Very, very dope album, in my opinion. And stay tuned for more stuff. Peace.